10 Poker Players Who Went Broke. Before we begin this video, I would like to invite you to our site, casinoglow.com, and especially to our new page dedicated to the newest and hottest casino games today and why you should play them. See the links to those pages in the description section below this video. On our site, we offer you amazing bonuses and promotions waiting just for you. From no deposit bonuses to free cash, welcome bonuses, and much more. If you enjoy our video, please like it and subscribe to support our channel, and hit the bell icon to get notified when we upload new videos to the channel. Enjoy the video. You already know that poker is a skill game that involves the element of luck. So, just like in any other game, you can win and you can lose. Whether by luck, bad beat, poor decision making or poor bankroll management. Over the years, the great game of poker has made many poor people into millionaires while simultaneously costing others a big chunk of their wealth. Even the best poker players in the world went broke at one time. Some of them were able to regain it all back, while others are still chasing their losses. So, let's have a look at some of the best poker players who went broke and lost it all. David Chino Ream. Ream is a great poker player who's won multiple WPT titles, the inaugural Epic Poker League event, and numerous other tournament accolades. Yet, despite winning over $11 million in tournament poker alone and still being an active poker player, Ream has had his issues with debt and was broke at multiple points during his poker career. Ream's financial problems began due to an addiction to games of chance and other vices such as drugs. By his own admission, Ream was a gambler and an addict who had little regard for money, which made him take loans anywhere he could. This problem caught up with him at one point, when the poker community called him out on many of his debts. When things started to surface, it became clear that not even the $1 million prize he won in an Epic Poker League tournament would be enough to get him out of his huge debts. Ream's still active and plays poker today, yet it's unclear if he is being staked and potentially working off a debt he amassed for himself over the years. Scotty Wynn. Everybody loves Scotty Wynn, baby. He is one of the most colorful characters the poker world has ever seen, a WSOP champion and poker master who enjoys the love and respect of everyone at the poker world, as well as having a successful career, with a few slumps along the way. In 2014, Wynn admitted in an interview that most of his poker winnings were dropped on gambling, women, and drugs. Wynn went broke more than once in his career, to the point where reportedly he even had to borrow $5 to tip his valet at some points. Wynn says he regrets nothing and today, he's a successful man and poker players with his days of debt long gone. Tom Dwan. Tom Dwan is a true legend of the poker community and one of the best and most respected poker players around. When he was just a teenager, he beat virtually everyone at the online poker tables and won millions in winnings playing at full tilt poker. His run went on for quite a while, and despite losing some fairly significant amounts in online cash games at times, his screen names always remained in the green. However, even Tom Dwan went broke during his career on multiple occasions, although these reports were never fully confirmed. Today, Tom Dwan is nowhere near being broke, as he regularly plays in some of the highest stakes cash games in the world and thrives there. Dwan has recently made new appearances on televised poker shows, playing a new and evolved style of poker for high stakes, and proving to the poker community that he still very much has what it takes to compete and win as he always used to. Gus Hansen. Gus Hansen, also known as the Great Dane, is a great poker player, but also one of the most notorious losers in the online poker world. A live tournament poker champion, Gus Hansen has amassed more tournament titles than most players of his generation. He also remains one of the most successful players in live cash games, regularly playing in Bobby's room and reportedly doing very well. On the other hand, online poker and Gus Hansen didn't go hand in hand, as Hansen lost more than $20 million in online poker, making him one of the biggest losers in the game's history. Hansen's negative balance at the online poker is now long behind him, and the fact he went broke playing online poker once doesn't mean he's a bad player. In fact, even to this day, Hansen remains one of the most feared high-stakes cash game players, especially when it comes to mixed games. Archie Karras. We've talked about Archie Karras in a previous video on our channel, but in case you haven't seen it, Karras is a living legend of the gambling world. He made and lost more money playing poker, craps, and baccarat than most people see in their lifetime. After multiple unsuccessful gambling stints in his youth, Carlos came to Las Vegas in 1992 with nothing but $50 in his pocket. In no time, Carlos lost his $50, and so he decided to loan $10,000 from a friend who was also a gambler, and just as quickly as he lost the $50, he turned the $10,000 into $30,000. And from there, he just kept going. Between 1992 and 1995, Carlos played poker for the highest stakes against anyone who would play against him, doing extremely well at different poker games, crushing his opponents and winning a whole lot of money on the way. By 1995, Carlos was a legend in Vegas, winning around $40 million from the initial $10,000 loan he took from a friend. However, at some point, things started going bad as his fortunes started to turn, mostly because he was no longer getting much action at the poker tables. Being an action junkie, he started playing craps and baccarat for massive stakes. At this point, Archie's great run has come to an end. He suffered 2 monumental losses and lost around $30 million of his total bankroll in just 2 nights. The massive downswing ended very soon for him, and he was reported to be completely broke after having been one of the biggest winners the city had seen up to that point in time. Eric Lindgren. Alice known as E-Dog, Lindgren was very young when poker was booming. He was very successful and profitable at the time, earning millions a year from his sponsorship and even more money from his poker wins. He played great at both tournaments and cash games, winning WSOP and other titles, earning respect in the poker community. However, by 2012, things were no longer going so well for Lindgren, who was apparently getting way too mixed up with sports betting and fantasy sports leagues. Lindgren bet on sports for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and at one point he was even accused of owing $100,000 for a high-stakes fantasy sports league. Since he couldn't pay this or other debts, Lindgren ended up filing for bankruptcy. At the time, he officially owed $12 million and possibly other debt that was off the books. He'd also lost all of the profits and earnings he made as a full-tilt pro, meaning he was in for well over $20 million. Brad Booth. Brad Booth is probably known as the guy who semi-bluffed Phil Ivey in the show High Stakes Poker, getting him to lay down pocket kings. He's probably not as famous as many other players of his generation, but Booth was actually one of the best cash game players of the time and had won a lot of money playing poker. Estimation is that Booth won anywhere between $5 million to $10 million in the early 2000s, only to lose it all during the ultimate bet scandal that involved cheating on a mass scale. It is believed that he have lost millions in the scandal itself and dropped the rest of his bankroll in high-stakes cash games he couldn't afford to play, after which he was rumored to be completely broke. The rumors are likely true given that he hasn't been seen playing much poker ever since. Stu Ungar. Known in his time as the Kid, Stu Ungar is likely one of the greatest poker players who ever lived. Coming up in the gambling world as a successful gin rummy player, Ungar graduated to poker when he felt there is nothing more for him to gain in gin rummy. Ungar was blessed with a gift which gave him a huge advantage in card games, and that WSA of photographic memory. This made him exceptionally good at card games and gave him a massive edge over players during the 80s and 90s, who were less good than the players today. It is rumored that he has won more than $30 million playing cash games in his lifetime. Ungar suffered from cocaine addiction and compulsive gambling behavior, and so despite his huge wins at the poker tables, he was found dead in a cheap motel room in 1998, apparently having overdosed on drugs and without any money or property to his name. Gavin Griffin. During the early 2010s, Gavin Griffin was one of the best tournament poker players. He became known in the poker world in 2004 when he won a pot limit Texas Hold'em tournament at the WSOP, which made him the youngest bracelet holder at the time. In 2011, Griffin won the Triple Crown, becoming the first ever to do so. He had a very bright future in poker ahead of him, with sponsorship deals and much more on the table. However, he fell prey to the dangers of gambling, became an addict and lost millions of dollars that he earned from poker to games of chance. Today, Griffin speaks openly about his gambling addiction and how dangerous gambling games can be. His story serves as a cautionary tale to all young poker players who earn a fortune on what not to do with their hard-earned cash. Also known by his online username Isildur1, Swedish poker player Victor Blom shocked the world in 2009 when he came out of nowhere and started playing the best players in the world for massive stakes. Completely anonymous at the time, Isildur1 built up his bankroll from scratch at full tilt poker and made hundreds of thousands playing lower stakes. Later on, Blom challenged the big names of poker like Phil Ivey, Patrick Antonius, and Tom Dwan to heads-up no-limit hold'em and pot-limit Omaha games. He'd often play 6 or more heads-up games at the same time against these players, and the stakes were extremely high. On December 8, 2009, Blom was up more than $2 million on his FTP account, and things were looking very good for him. 5 hours later, Blom lost $4.2 million to poker pro Brian Hastings, who had reportedly picked his game apart with some fellow pros and learned how to play nearly perfect against him. Despite going broke on that occasion, he continued his poker career with plenty of success, winning money both live and online for years to come. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video, and if so, please like it and subscribe. Also, reminding you to visit our site to claim great bonuses, take advantage of our promotions and check out the hottest and best casino games today waiting just for you. Enjoy and have an amazing day.